obviously the Space Force and the Air Force is observing and oriented on the current events that you just laid out in your presentation. So what do you think the lessons will be for the fighter force coming out of the Ukraine conflict?
Okay. I believe, and this is a personal opinion, I believe that institutions and individuals will largely, I'd say, focus, highlight, and learn what they want to learn out of the Ukraine conflict. I think our great Army partners will highlight that you shouldn't take a undisciplined, untrained, unprofessional, unprotected, unresourced, undisciplined armor column and race it to another nation's capital. I believe our shipmates in the Navy, finest sailors on the planet, will highlight fleet defense and sea control. I believe our brothers and sister guardians will highlight the incredible contributions of our unblinking ISR constellation, our communication infrastructure, our precision navigation and timing infrastructure in LEO and elsewhere, and I think all those observations will be accurate. I think folks that are in the know, and that's key word is in the know, of what our cyber and our intel airmen have done in this conflict for the defense of Europe, support of NATO, and frankly, the bastion of defense of freedom and democracy in Ukraine will know that this conflict was their finest hour, by every sense of the word. To your question, fighter force, I frankly think it's more of a question for the nation that we should have. We should elevate it out of fighter force, out of bomber force, out of ISR force, and ask ourselves as contributors to the national discussion, is if a nation wants an air force that can establish air superiority at the time and place of its choosing, execute an air defense takedown at the time and place of its choosing, execute persistent global precision attack at that exact same time and place of our choosing, set the conditions for a low casualty 100-hour ground campaign comparable to Desert Storm, well, then you need a first-class Air Force. If, on the other hand, that's considered too fiscally challenging, or you're constrained by legacy budgetary rules and makes it unobtainium, and you're okay, and it's not an or, and you're okay with months, more like years, of bloody trench warfare and a grinding artillery duel with thousands of casualties on the scale of Ukraine or World War I, you don't need a first-rate Air Force. Second-rate Air Force will handle that just fine. But as we visit all of our great airmen here at AFA, and I get the privilege of going over with John Finnerty to visit the great elected leaders we have on the Hill, and they work hard, their staffers work hard, they commit a whole lot of their life and energy away from home here. We, by definition, whether you've been wearing the cloth of the nation for 36 months or 36 years, you owe them by law best military advice. And when this topic comes up of a first-rate Air Force or a second-rate Air Force, I would offer that one, or they be voters and taxpayers, one, choose wisely. Two, choose knowing that China is building a first-rate Air Force. Three, finally, I'd say, choose knowing what we knew before 24 February. And that is when it comes to a nation's blood, treasure, stature on the globe, the only thing more expensive than a first-rate Air Force is a second-rate Air Force.